right? It's gonna take forever. Oh my goodness, can you smell it, Huli?
Yeah.
It's crazy. Should we chop it all at once or do a little bit at a time? Let's do a little bit at a time. So all the basil has been harvested. I've been making pesto like a mad woman for the last couple days. I have a little bit of basil left and some garlic, and I'm going to show you how to make pesto before I run out of everything. So I almost forgot to film this. I've been putting it up like crazy. My freezer is full of it. You can store your fresh made pesto in the refrigerator for up to a week or two. You can put it in ball jars or in freezer bags in your freezer. I've used mine well past a year, so it's really easy to keep. You can use it fresh on top of soup. You can use it over your favorite pasta, spread on a baguette with some really good roast chicken, make a chicken pesto sandwich. Lots of uses for pesto. It's so easy. So here's what you'll need. If you're not growing basil in your garden this year, go ahead and get some from the supermarket, but you'll need basil, garlic, olive oil, pine nuts or walnuts, and Romano or Parmesan. Now I use a Parmesan Romano blend that I get from Trader Joe's. I love that. If you're buying a block, then you'll just want to have that grated before you start in on the project. Now the difference between the pine nuts and the walnuts. Okay, so pine nuts are ideal, right? They're really, really expensive. So if you can't afford them, or if they're not in your budget for the amount of basil that you have, like me, I have so much, that'd be like, good gracious, $75 worth of pine nuts by the time I'm all said and done. So I make poor man's pesto. What you want to do is maybe add a little bit more salt than you might normally would, because I find that sometimes the walnuts can add a hint of bitterness. But if you're just making a small batch, go ahead and use pine nuts. They're wonderful. They're just really expensive, so it makes this fun sauce a little bit more pricey than it needs to be. But walnuts will work. Don't be afraid to use walnuts. That's what I've done for the last couple years as the family's getting bigger, because my kids are pesto junkies. All right, let's get started. It's super easy. Oh, and you're going to need a Cuisinart, some sort of food processor, okay? Let's do this. Here's the thing. You cannot really mess pesto up. It's a to-taste kind of recipe. By that I mean, like, you like more garlic, add more garlic. You like more cheese, add more cheese. You like your food really salty like I do, add more salt. So I have got my washed basil here. If you can't get to your project the day you harvest your basil, go ahead and wrap it up really good, store it in the fridge overnight. It won't brown, but basil does start to get that oxidization, and it will start to turn brown. So try to get to it, you know, as soon as you can. We harvest a lot of basil, so I really have to plan out the next couple days so I can stay on top of it. All right, I've got my food processor here. I just have a few batches left. You can see I've been making a ton. Now see, you can see that happening. So I just turned it over. Can you see that? Yeah, kind of, and it's nice and bright green underneath, but it's actually getting darker on the top. No big deal. All right, so I'm gonna take a couple tight handfuls of basil, okay? 2 or 3. Cram them in to the bottom of my food processor. This is not an exact science. You already make basil, maybe, or pesto, maybe you make yours totally different. This is how I do mine. So I cram that in there. I'm not measuring. I don't mean to freak you out. Don't worry about it, okay? I'm just gonna take a handful of walnuts, and I've got my cheese. Again, you can use the brick Parmesan. Do it in your food processor beforehand or grate it by hand. But because I make so much, I just buy scads of the Parmesan Romano blend from Trader Joe's, because that's my favorite for this project. All right, so about a half a cup. Forgot my salt. I do a little salt now and then a little salt to taste when I'm all done. And let's see, lid, kind of messy because I've been doing this for a while. So I'm gonna turn this on, and I have extra virgin olive oil, and I'm just gonna add that while it's whizzing, okay? Gonna be noisy. So of course, so today I'm making this video by myself. Usually my 12-year-old son helps me, and he helps me not make a fool out of myself. But I just thought I recorded this whole section about telling you how you can just keep adding to the Cuisinart. You don't have to empty it each time. So here's what I've got. I've got a big full batch because after I made that initial batch, I just added everything again and did it again. So we're gonna empty this into this morning's batch, and I mix it all in. That way I get a uniform taste. It's not that one jar of pesto tastes different from the other. So because it's sitting around in the olive oil, you know, if you're working on this for a couple hours, it's no big deal. But I do like, because I give it to friends and family, I have some family members that really like it, and so I like to gift it. I do want it to have a consistent taste. I don't want one jar to taste different from the next. So I make as big of a batch as I can. A lot of times I'll use an even bigger, just stainless steel mixing bowl. But then there's uniformity instead of just making small batches and putting it in the jars. So we've got a ton here. Can you see this? Let's see. Oh my goodness gracious. This is a ton. This will make, I'm trying to think of what I did the other day. 11 or 12 pints. Okay, so I use, and you can put it in bags. I just love to open my freezer and see it all lined up. So I use the wide mouth pint jars. And that's about enough for my family. I have a big family. We've got 6 kids. They eat a lot. So that's about enough. If I make a big batch of pasta, this will cover all that pasta. So usually it's like 1 jar per serving around here. But if you open a jar and don't use everything, say you're just making yourself a sandwich, it will last in your fridge forever. Let's do this. First I gotta try it, which I don't want to do on camera. Oh my gosh. Oh, that is just yum. I love salt. So I'm going to add a little more sea salt. You see a theme, more salt, more garlic. More is more. Alright, and then, of course I don't have a scoop. What do I have? I have this little copper guy. Just going to fill my jars. I leave a 1/2 inch headspace at the top. And really, I mean, they will last you. I just opened one the other day before we started processing all of this, and it was from last August, so, and it's now the following September. If you don't want to spend the money on jars, of course you can use freezer bags, no big deal. You can use ice cube trays. I know a lot of people do that for really, really small servings. There you have it. Beautiful jar of pesto. Easy to make. You can buy your basil at the store, make your own, grow your own basil. I'll give you a hint. Halfway through the summer, your hardware stores and your nurseries, they start marking everything down. You can still grow basil from the halfway point. So it's a little bit tricky to grow by seed. The seed is very, very small by extra because it has a lower germination rate. You can start your seeds indoors for sure. If you're a seed starter and you've got some experience with that, or try it for the first time. But what I'll usually do, I do 3 things. So I'll start my seeds indoors, and I'll have little plants to put out, after the first frost. Basil does not like those cold temperatures, so definitely check your first and last frost date and get a feel for what gardening zone you're in. But I'll put out my new little basil starts, then I scatter seed around them, and then halfway through the summer, I'll hit the hardware store and the nurseries because they're all like half off, and you can still grow from those. So I kind of have a 3-fold basil plan because we grow so much. All right, I'm gonna finish this project. I hope you enjoyed this. All right, I hope you enjoyed this video. I had fun. My pesto is done. My pesto is done. I can't believe it. There was so much. I'm so happy. All right, on to the next video. How about some design videos? Let's do some like fall design in the living room or something like that. All right, you can follow. I'd love to hear from you over on Instagram at Parisienne Farmgirl. Of course, on the blog, ParisienneFarmgirl.com. And if you don't have a copy of the cookbook, grab yourself one. You'll love it. Some good, warm, cozy recipes. We're coming into winter. All right, a bientôt. I'll see you soon.